Welcome FPL managers, I'm your FPL plug, and today we're going to be doing a tier list video on all of the best transfers that you can make going into 24, the players that you need and some of the players that might be a little bit too overhyped. So as you can see down here, I have got all of the players that are likely to be transfers in for Game Week 24, and also 5 of the top transferred in players as of recording this on Tuesday on the FPL website. And that is Kluivert, Trent, Wood, Gakpo and Foden in that order. But I thought we'd start us off. If you do not have Mo Salah, and a few people in my TikTok comments have not got Mo Salah right now, Mo Salah is the easiest must-buy possible, especially for this game week. If you have your triple captain chip available, I think it's a great week to use your triple captain chip on someone like Mo Salah, because the triple captain chip, we have to remember, is possibly the weakest chip in FPL. So if we can use that on a weak double game week, especially when that double game week only includes 2 teams, one of which being the best team in the Premier League right now, I would happily triple captain the best player on that best team. So that's why Mo Salah will get the triple captaincy for me and must be in your teams. Now, let's go through the top 5 most popular transfers in this week. So Kluivert, I think, is an exceptional player. He's been doing really well recently and is definitely a justified buy in the next coming week. So obviously this week they do have Liverpool, which is a tricky game. But as long as you can bench him this week, I think this week's a good week to buy someone like Kluivert. I don't think he's a must-buy because, as we'll get on to soon, there are some good options in that Bournemouth team. However, he is definitely a great buy for your teams right now if you don't need to play him right now. And then Trent Alexander-Arnold, I do believe he is a must-buy in your team right now. If you don't have Trent, and I can see a lot of people are transferring in Trent, so a lot of people didn't have Trent beforehand. Trent and Salah are the best 2 people to own for this double game week, and I think if you just own those, you'll be fine for the double game week. If you own more double game week players like triple Liverpool or maybe even a few Everton, you'll definitely be set up correctly for the double game week, but these 2 definitely need to be in your team. And then moving on to Chris Wood. Now, Chris Wood is a very interesting one because yes, he's been absolutely amazing and he has got a lot of FPL points. On the other hand, he has really bad fixtures coming up soon. So I think for me, he's either got to be a don't buy or a sell. He's not a consider buy or must buy because you shouldn't really be bringing Chris Wood in right now. If you are going to bring Chris Wood in, I would hope that you can bench him basically every single week. But Chris Wood is a fairly expensive player and there are better strikers out there right now. So I'm going to put him in the sell category because of that point. I think there are better strikers out there right now that we will get onto soon. And then going on to the last 2 players, I think Cody Gakpo is an amazing player for that 3rd Liverpool spot. I think Cody Gakpo, Konate and Alisson are the top 3 picks for that 3rd Liverpool slot. And obviously I chose to go with Cody Gakpo, which worked out for me this week. However, I don't expect him to be getting that crazy amount of points every single week. So I'm just going to put Cody Gakpo in the great buy section. Maybe even consider, actually I'm going to put him in consider because you need to consider with Cody Gakpo what your team structure's like. Because if you have a goalkeeper that you want to move on, you should then just go for Alisson. If you have a defender that you want to move on that's fairly expensive, you can then go for Konate. However, if you have a forward, like someone like Chris Wood or Nicholas Jackson, then Cody Gakpo is probably the best person to buy. And that's the reason that I went from Jackson to Cody Gakpo, because it just fit my team the best. So I'm going to leave him in consider, but he is also a great buy if you do want to buy him. And then last but not least, Phil Foden. He has some absolutely horrific fixtures coming up. So for me, Phil Foden is quite comfortably in that sell category. If you already have him, I at least wouldn't be buying him. But if you do already have him, I would probably advise selling him just because of how many great midfielder options we have at our disposal in FPL right now. And I'll speak about a few of them again later on in the video. But Phil Foden, for the price that he is, he's not a penalty taker. City aren't looking amazing still. Yes, they are looking slightly better. but he's just not a perfect pick. Now, we've done all of the top buys for this week that FPL managers are currently buying. However, let's go into some of the top buys that I think we should be buying going into Game Week 24 that maybe a few people haven't thought of, maybe a few people have thought of though, obviously. And I thought we'd speak about the Bournemouth midfielders first. Now, I think Kluivert is a great buy because he's on penalties. I think Semenyo and Dango are both the same, if not better, open play-wise, even though Kluivert has been getting a lot of opportunities and a lot of good goals in open play. That's why he is still a great buy. I think for Semenyo, I'll put him in consider because he has similar data to Kluivert, however he's not on penalties. I think he might be slightly cheaper, and if he's more expensive then he's definitely only consider. But I think I would rather Kluivert over Semenyo anyway, just because of those penalties. And I don't think Kluivert's going to be subbed anytime soon with Bournemouth's injuries and how well he's playing. So you don't really have that worry with Kluivert anymore. However, I do think that Dango, for a £5 million midfielder, he is definitely a great option. And I think on par with Kluivert for a great buy. I think he has slightly better data from what I've seen, only slightly though. And he's not on penalties, but he is much cheaper. So if you are priced out of moving to, say, Kluivert from an Ismail Assar or an Enzo, then I think Dango is an absolutely fine and probably a good option to go for in that Bournemouth team for their absolutely exceptional run of fixtures coming up after Liverpool. So that's where I sit with the Bournemouth guys. Let me know down in the comments which Bournemouth player you would prefer to bring in this week or next week when you're looking to bring in those Bournemouth players. Now, let's have a look at the Brentford players. So I think Brentford's another team that we need to be targeting for the great fixtures, especially this Spurs fixture. But also, you need to remember that they don't blank in Game Week 29. So if you're not looking to use a free hit in Game Week 29, then Brentford could be a great team to load up on. And I think that Mbeumo is going to have to go in the must-buy category for me, because Mbeumo on penalties, even if he doesn't have a great game, he's not involved too much, he can easily go out there and get you a very nice haul. And Mbeumo is the type of player in FPL that I'm more than happy just keeping in my team for the whole season, no matter the fixture. Brentford can play very well against the big teams, and if they are going to score, it's going to be one of these two players normally involved. And moving on to Wisa, it's another one that if you do have someone like Chris Wood that you'd like to sell for the fixture run, then Wisa from Brentford has exceptional data. I think he has something ridiculous like 11 XG in the last the games this season. So I've personally made the move for Wisa in my team, and I think he's a great buy. I don't think he's essential because he's not on penalties. If he was, he would definitely be in that must-buy penalty section. However, I think he is a great buy, as I explained with Mbeumo. If it's going to be a goal for Brentford, it's most of the time going to be one of these two getting involved. And with the fixtures and them not blanking in Game Week 29, I think you're more than justified to just buy both of these. I think I may be bringing Mbeumo in for Bruno Fernandes this week, but you can check that out in my transfers or transfer plans video later on in the week. So, moving on to the Everton players. Now, these guys are only really a choice because of the double game week, other than maybe Jordan Pickford and Mykolenko. I think Ndiaye, you don't really want Ndiaye in your team, I wouldn't have thought. So I'm going to put him in the consider range, just because if it wasn't a double game week, I would not have Ndiaye. However, with Dominic Calvert-Lewin seemingly to being injured, he could be a great asset. He's very cheap. He's on penalties now with DCL injured, and he has a double game week. So I think for the short term, Ndiaye is a great option and could be a great buy. But you do need to consider your team and whether you can stick with him for maybe a little bit more long term than just the double game week. And then Mykolenko, I'm going to put in a great buy category because I think he is just a player that you can always have in your team. He's not an expensive player. Everton are a pretty good defence usually and still have been under David Moyes. So I think Mykolenko and also Pickford in the same vein are great buys. I think if you need a goalkeeper for the double game week, Alisson or Pickford, both great options. If you don't want to take up the Liverpool slot with Alisson, then go for Jordan Pickford. Absolutely fine. And that's only if you're really going off someone like maybe Raya. You don't want Raya for the fixtures, or you don't think the upside's there with him. But Mykolenko, you could easily go off someone like Vandenberg. You might want to keep for the blank game week. But just defenders in general that have been underperforming in your team, you could go straight to Mykolenko for the double game week. Yes, Liverpool isn't a great fixture for him, but he does have Leicester in that game, and then will get the extra points for the Liverpool game anyway, just for playing. And then I think Everton have got okay fixtures going forward, so I wouldn't mind holding either of these two. I probably wouldn't triple up. I know people like Jimmy G have been saying that recently over on TikTok, who I really respect as a manager. So it's definitely a thought to think about. But personally, I wouldn't triple up. But I think picking one of them is absolutely fine. And I think these two are great buys, unless you need a forward player, in which you should definitely consider Ndiaye. And I just wanted to quickly thank you all for over 100 subscribers now. I've been absolutely loving the live streams that we've had recently. So if you've got to this far into the video and you aren't subscribed already, I would really, really appreciate it if you did hit that subscribe button and the like button. And I will see you later on in the game week for a transfer plans video where I'll talk about my plans going into game week 24, and also maybe a little bit about chip strategy, especially including the triple captaincy chip. Bye for now.